I'm Erika Murray, a lawyer with PCK Intellectual Property, and today I'm here with our CEO, Andrew Currier, to talk about small, medium-sized enterprises, so SMEs, and intellectual property. Andrew, SMEs have a lot to worry about, whether it be employees, scaling, the innovation itself, how to scale. But when it comes to intellectual property and our services, how has PCK been so reliable and trustworthy with SMEs' intellectual property? What is it that we do best?
You phrased the question amazingly, because it is so tough for SMEs to figure out an intellectual property strategy. They've got so much on the go, and yet intellectual property is really, at the end of the day, kind of very core to whatever it is they're doing. So I think that we start with is that there's a lot of empathy here for what it's like to be an SME. I myself was general counsel of an SME for several years. I've worked in a couple of other in-house arrangements, and if you actually canvass the guys here, a number of us have actually spent time in those organizations. And so we're pretty tuned to what it is that these organizations are facing.
So when it comes to how do I protect my business, and specifically my intellectual property within an SME, what does that look like?
So we want to make that really easy for the C-suite or the management team. This is just, yet, as you say, yet another problem that they've got. We speak that language, and what we do is come in and sit down with whichever set of stakeholders will spend time with us and get them to communicate to us exactly the way they'd speak to an investor, a potential customer, and we try to listen from there and extract what are the points in there that might be eligible for patent or trademark protection, and identify those and mirror those back to that particular team with suggestions about what they might do to protect them.
And so, the next thing SMEs, they know they need patents, they know they need trademarks, but how much does it cost, or what does that look like in terms of budget, and how does PCK help your clients with that certainty?
So again, yes, that's very easy to come back and say, yeah, go get a whole bunch of trademarks or go get a whole bunch of patents. How do I know I'm getting value back for it? And there's a few tools. One is that we're very conversant on the financial side of things, and there's a number of models that we look at. First of all is that we need to understand the overall financial goals and position that the company has. What kind of capital does it actually have available to invest in something like this? An intellectual property investment needs to be just a reasonable portion of what the overall spend is. So if we get exposure to what that overall budget that the company has, and then recommend something within a percentage of that for which whatever the program that we're going to recommend has to adhere to. And then when we make these recommendations about how many patents you file or how many trademarks you file, we're always holding that back up against a budget. And then we actually take that budget, once it's been approved, that actually goes back into our inputs for our system. We actually track that, control that, and make sure that we're adhering to it. We quote everything on a flat fee basis here. We don't work on hourly rates. And in this way, clients, once we've agreed on that budget, we're going to come in with what we promised at that budget point.
So Andrew, the last point that you said is that PCK gives comfort to the stakeholders. What do you mean by that?
So this is kind of like closing the loop again. This is again recognizing that investors, C-suite management, they're not, or other advisors, perhaps accountants, lawyers acting for the organization, they're not going to necessarily speak the IP language that we speak. So having come in and done a discovery process about what are all the business objectives, and developing a program and setting a budget around that, we will then prepare reports and summaries of what the work it is that we've done, again translating that back into the language that is important to whoever these stakeholders might be. So for example, if you take an investor, they may want to know that the money that they put into the company is going to result in intellectual property that protects their investment if the company were to have any trouble, or protect a competitor from coming and stealing from the marketplace. So if we tunnel right back to the beginning, there'll be points of difference that the company's identified in its sales process or in its particular products. We'll come back with a listing of all the patents or trademarks that have been filed, with an indication of how those actually map back to those business points of interest for the company. So it's really kind of a report that sort of folds everything back again, showing what we've done, what we filed for, and what progress and step it is through the patent system. And we'll do that on a regular basis to make sure that everybody is feeling that the comfort that they need for the money they put into the company is actually going to come back in some strong IP protection to give them the best protection possible.
So Andrew, what's a typical SME that PCK works with?
So this is a really broad question, because really we act for people on a whole range of sizes, whether they're 50-person company or 200-person company. What I think really defines an SME is a company that is post-revenue, is making profit, but really lacks a IP team, that they have not scaled to the size, or they've gone and hired an IP department, but they have a need for an IP program. So it's an extremely broad range. In every case, we're really engaging in a very similar exercise, though, is spending time with those key decision makers and teasing out from them what the profile is of that whole organization, and building those programs that are going to tie in with exactly the right size for that company at that particular point, and keep them poised for the growth plans that we know they all have.
And is there any particular industry or technology that?
Nope, we're actually extremely flexible on that, and I think that goes down to how our hiring processes go. We work on getting people here that have got a broad range of technical skill sets. The firm has done a lot of work, and maybe better known for its work in financial services or telecom or software or mechanical, but PCK serves clients across a whole range of technology industries and outside into the trademark area, companies that are simply working on brand experience. So,
and also in the US as well as Canada and globally as well, correct?
Yeah, this has been a really exciting direction that PCK has taken. I think we're the only North American boutique intellectual property firm. What that means, we have office in Boston, we have office in Toronto, we have a couple of smaller satellite offices in North America. And intellectual property is, while it's protected on a national basis, business is global. And that's really the focus of PCK. Our clients now come to us from anywhere on the globe. We have clients from the United States, clients from Europe, Asia, and these are clients that are not just coming to us to file their Canadian patents that have already been written. They're coming to us for soup to nuts, full strategy, drafting, preparation, IP portfolio management around the globe. So we may be sitting here in Toronto or Boston doing this work, but we're building IP strategies and portfolios for companies from the ground up anywhere on the globe.
So an SME really can have an IP program put in place which protects their intellectual property, manages their budget, and comforts their stakeholders.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Andrew, and thank you all for listening. If you have any questions about your IP program, please reach out to myself, Erika Murray, or Andrew Currier, or anyone else at the firm. We'd love to hear from you.